Hey guys, my name is Julia Whaley. This week I am doing Chapter 20, Marketing Management, Evaluation, and Control. This is the last chapter of our textbook. So for my chapter assignment question, I decided to go with number 4. The question is, assume that you have been hired as a consultant by a hospitality and travel organization to improve the effectiveness of its marketing efforts. Explain the procedures you would recommend for using the 5-step hospitality and travel marketing system. Make specific suggestions on how the organization should control and evaluate marketing, and describe the benefits the organization can expect from implementing your recommendations. So the first really important thing about this chapter to really drive home is just what marketing management is. Our textbook defines marketing management as designed to help the organization achieve objectives and to implement and, if necessary, adapt its marketing plan to changing circumstances. It is the way that the organization makes to be sure it gets where it wants to be. So we've all read about the hospitality marketing system a bunch of times throughout previous chapters, and it's 5 steps. So each step is a question. The first thing you want to ask is, where are we now as an organization? The second step is asking the question, where would we like to be? The third step is asking, how do we get there? Fourth is, how do we make sure we get there? And 5 is, how do we know if we've gotten there? So step 1, like I said, the first question you want to ask is, where are we now? So I recommend for this organization to assess where it is, of course, right now, and where it has just been in the previous years. Also, its strengths and its weaknesses, of course, and its previous marketing performance. I also recommend that the organization gathers a lot of data about past customers, data about potential customers, and also data about primary competitors at this point. And of course, I recommend that the organization should analyze a lot of things about itself first, like conducting a situation analysis, of course, which we have read about a million times. A SWOT analysis, which, if you remember, is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And also, it's important to ask this question every couple of years rather than just right at the beginning right now. Step 2 is asking the question, where would we like to be? So this step is all about writing down goals and objectives and seeing where you want to go as an organization at this point, which is always changing. So that's why it's so important to ask these questions throughout time. But this is where we determine which route is most effective. We identify where the organization wants to be as a result of all of this hard work and marketing activities. Techniques to achieve these goals, of course, are marketing segmentation, target marketing, marketing mixes, and number one thing is marketing objectives. That's what this step is all about. So this is where the organization should write down all of its goals, and it should chart the course that will take the organization where it needs to go, which really ties into step 3. Step 3 is asking, how do we get there? How do we meet these goals? So this is where you create a marketing plan, which is the blueprint for action and sets the pace for exactly where you're going to end up. We've all read the 8 Ps a million times. This is all part of the marketing plan as diagrammed right here. The product, place, pricing, promotion, packaging, programming, partnership, and people are all of those 8 Ps. An article on SiteMinder went through this exact step and suggested key tactics to include in an actual hotel marketing plan. So just for hospitality and hotels specifically, the things that it should do to actually draw out this path of how do we get there. They say that you should prioritize personalization, recognize that social media is a great tool, which of course it is, and it's going to continue to be, so that's an important part of the plan. Don't market to the average traveler. So that just ties back to market segmentation and target markets. Keep up with the mobile trend, of course, and continue using email marketing, also to update digital marketing strategies. Step 4 is, how do we make sure we get there? So this is all about the step where we're implementing checks and controls. This is where we're ensuring that things go as planned. Also, if we find out that something isn't going as planned or isn't working, we're making the changes. So here is when I suggest analyzing exactly the things we need to go through. So Crum & Small Business actually wrote about exactly this in an article about marketing control. So marketing control is used to monitor and to evaluate current marketing strategies and to identify needed adjustments to set guidelines for the future. So things to make sure we get there are things like the competitor analysis, the consumer analysis, testing research, consumer feedback, and also, of course, the cost analysis. So more on control here on this slide. Of course, it's a performance measurement. It's seeing if we're getting there and actually measuring the things we need to get there. So our textbook defines marketing control right here up at the top. So marketing control includes all the steps that an organization takes to monitor and adjust the marketing plan as it progresses, as well as procedures it selects to ensure implementation as planned. It really just answers that question that we just talked about. How do we make sure we get there? So the steps in controlling the system are establishing performance standards based on plans and objectives, monitoring performance against these standards, and adjusting procedures accordingly. So this is really the point where if things aren't going as planned or they're not as successful as the organization was hoping, this is where we need to take control, change the plan, rewrite it, and make new steps to make sure we still meet those goals. And that is just exactly what control is. So step 5, the final step, is how do we know if we got there? So how do we know when we're actually meeting our goals? This is all about measuring and evaluating. The final step after we're finished going through all of our steps to reach our goals. So the Content Marketing Institute actually talked about this, measuring the marketing effectiveness of content. So they gave a whole step-by-step list of how to actually know if we got there, if we met our goals. So of course, the number one thing is to actually just write down the objectives, but also to prioritize them. They suggested creating a spreadsheet online for everyone to access that organizes these objectives, and also KPIs, which I didn't read about in the book, but they mentioned it on this article. KPIs are key performance indicators. So basically the top of the top objectives and the ones that will actually indicate whether we're performing. And also dates to measure, because measuring really should be a priority if we're going to know if we met the goals we made. They ask, what does it mean when your marketing is working? And this basically means that it's supporting your marketing and your business goals. So for step 5, knowing if we got there, the performance measurement we use during this time is called evaluation. So marketing evaluation, as defined by the book, is right up top. Marketing evaluation involves analyzing results to determine the success of a marketing plan. So exactly what I just talked about just on this last slide. We really just analyze where we've gotten to see if we actually met those things we planned on making. It answers that question on the last slide, step 5, how do we know if we got there? So the steps in marketing evaluation and the things you can do to actually evaluate your marketing is a sales analysis, a market share analysis, marketing cost and profitability analysis, efficiency ratios, marketing effectiveness rating reviews, marketing audits. Cron also has an article not only on control, but also on methods of evaluation, different kinds of analyses that are also very important to measuring and evaluating where we've come. Of course, ROI, return on income, and return on investment, and sales numbers are number one to analyze if we've been doing well. Did our sales go up? Great, looks like marketing did something for us. Also market expansion, if we've reached out to more people. Competitor and partner responses, and also feedback from salespeople can also help evaluate where we've come so far. So the last thing I want to talk about are the benefits of marketing management. Why would we take the time to do all of these tedious things in order to not only make a profit, but also these other benefits listed here? So goals are accomplished in an organized, systematic fashion. Of course, it's great when we meet our goals no matter what, but when we actually see the steps that brought us there, when they're organized and systematic, that really helps us in being able to repeat them and learn from our mistakes and see what we did well at. Also, large amounts of data is generated through marketing research. So of course, when you're sitting here going through all of these steps and doing the research, you're gathering so much information and knowledge that you might not have had otherwise. So you have that to be able to use in other areas of the business. The marketing budget and human resources are used as efficiently as possible. Of course, we're not wasting money here. There is always room for improvement and efforts are under constant scrutiny. The organization, if necessary, can more easily adapt to change. So with all of these steps in organization in our hands, if there is a change needed, we're in a much better position to do that. Marketing is integrated into an organization's activities in various departments. Staff members are more motivated towards achieving goals, of course, when they're written down and we can see if we're reaching them. We're much more motivated. There's also a better understanding of successes or failures and why they occurred. We can pinpoint what went wrong and what went great. And of course, there is always accountability. When we're not meeting goals or taking the steps to get there, we can see exactly what went wrong. So that is everything. These are the references for my articles. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.